anything can happen. This is Exhibit A.
Of course, yeah. I mean, again, we know exactly what that means, and a lot of teams, are the same way, and so that's why you have to bring it every week. Yeah, it's tough, but again, there's a lot of great teams in the Big Ten, and they come, and to win a game on the road in the Big Ten is really hard. To win at home in the Big Ten is really hard. I mean, these are really good coaches, really good players. They recruit really well. They have really good schemes, and so it's hard, and it's going to be that way again this week.
And as hard as you make sure your team keeps nose to the grindstone, does it give you more of an appreciation for what you have been able to do that you haven't had even a close call yet?
I mean, I know that we're excited the way that game played out Friday night for sure, and that coming off the bye, I thought the energy was good, and the way that we finished the first half was good, and the way we finished out the game I thought was solid. So that's been great. But again, it doesn't matter until you get to the end of the season. When you look back on the body of work, where are we at? It's easy to say, oh yeah, we're doing great. Oh yeah, but there's a lot of football left to be played. So all that can go out the window if we don't show up again on Saturday.
Right next door, Tim.
Yeah, Ryan, following up on that, when you watch Wisconsin with its #1 ranked defense in almost every category, but then he gave up some big plays against Illinois, some basic plays. Do you think help your offense's confidence going into a game like this, that if you keep knocking on wood, so to speak, it'll be there? It could be there.
Yeah. I think we always have a good game plan going in that we feel confident about, and we believe that if we do these type of things, and when we do have confidence that we should be able to move the ball, that's part of who we are. But this is a good defense, and it's hard to find areas to attack them. I mean, they're good in all areas, so it's going to be hard. And Illinois did find a couple things, but that's why we spend so much time game planning and making sure we go through everything.
Yeah, I was going to follow up with that question. What is it about their defense that stands out most? They seem to pretty much play you straight up more than anything because they feel like they're talented. What just stands out about their defense more than anything else?
So they're so stout up front, those guys up front, Loudermilk and all those guys, they're strong and powerful in there. So they win the line of scrimmage. They have a two-gapping mindset, and so they always always have an extra gap in there. And then in the back end, I think they're very, very well coached. Coach Leonard does a really good job of their leverage and the way they drive on things, and their pattern matching and all those things. So I think it's a combination of scheme and also toughness and execution.
One of the quickie, when you have to play Nicholas Petit-Frere's at fourth tackle y'all started this year, obviously you'd rather play with your first team, I think, going in at least. But as you look back on it, what is the benefit of that silver lining, I guess?
Yeah, that we built depth there. That was our fourth tackle, like you said, which that's pretty amazing that we can put our fourth tackle in the game against Northwestern, against a pretty good front right there, and still kind of hang in there. He didn't have a perfect game. He didn't grade a champion, but he was competing the best he could. And Thayer kind of supplemented him in there in the second quarter, which was great. And then we got the one in there at the end. So building depth, like we talked about from day one, the offensive line was going to be critical. They were all going to play. I didn't know how they were all going to play, but they are. And it's good to see Nick step up.
Front row, middle, Joey.
You guys lead the nation in third down conversion rates for your offense, and even looking back at the Northwestern game, you guys were able to convert a few third and longs. JK running for 8 yards. Justin kind of had the one play where he scrambles and 3rd and 15. Why is that an area your offense is able to see that?
I think ideally when we stay on schedule and it's third and manageable, that gives us our best chance. We have an opportunity to run or pass, which is always good. When you start to get into third and longs, then now it's a little bit more always going to be a pass, and they can tee off a little bit. So staying on schedule is critical for us. I think our guys have done a pretty good job of protection. And Justin's done a good job of creating and giving guys a little bit more time downfield to get open. And for the most part, our receivers have competed well on third down.
Flip side of that, Wisconsin's really good third down defense. I think they're first in the country in that as well. What challenges will they pose for you guys on third down?
The pass rush is really good. Bond coming off the edge is dynamite. He's really good, but he's not the only one. They got other guys right there. They have good scheme, good coverage. They'll challenge you. They're not afraid to get up in your mug in the perimeter and challenge you and make it hard, disrupt the route. So, they don't miss. When they get in there, they get shot at you. They don't miss.
And just one more. JK mentioned before the season that you wanted to be the best running back in the nation. Going up against Jonathan Taylor, obviously they're on the field at the same time. It's a matchup where both running backs are playing against each other. Is this a matchup you look forward to?
You'll have to ask JK, you'll have to ask him, but I know that he's very competitive, and I'm proud of the way he's prepared and entered into the season up to this point. But yeah, he's competitive, and I think he wants to compete against everybody, you know, and the fact that he wants to be the best running back in the country, good for him. You know, that's the way you should think about it, but yeah, you have to ask him about that.
Right behind him, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, as the game was wearing on against Northwestern, you guys were scoring in 2 and 3 plays. Even from 60 and 70 yards, you were hitting a big play. How do you kind of ingrain in Justin this week that it's going to require patience, and it may require 10 or 12 plays, and it will not require him forcing a ball into a bad spot, perhaps, to try and get it in 2 or 3 plays?
I think the bigger the game, the more the emphasis on the plan to win, you know, and that's, you know, play great defense, which for us is trying to get 2 first downs and get the ball to midfield, and then possibly punt from there, and then pin him inside and play great defense, and the game of field position. And then turnovers is the second thing. We got to do a great job and take care of the football. Anytime you give the ball up in big games like that, that's when it can go sideways. We got to play well in the red zone. We get down in there. We got to score touchdowns. I thought we did a good job of that last week, but it's going to be even harder this week. And then we got to do well in the kicking game. Got to play well in the kicking game. So I think the bigger the game, the more the emphasis on those points. Because when we've done a good job with that, things have gone well.
Right next door, Bruce.
Nobody saw Wisconsin's loss to Illinois coming. You can go through it and you can pick out interceptions, you can pick out mistakes by players. I'm sure Chris picks out things he did that he'd do differently. I just wonder, with all the time you put into this, all the thought, all the planning, when you get to Saturday, how much control do you really think you have over what happens out there?
I think by the time you get to Saturday, you know, the hay's in the barn, you know, and by the time you get to that field, the work that's been done in terms of game planning, installing, practicing Tuesday on the first, second down game plan, and then doing a good job on Wednesday with third down red zone, and then polishing it up on Thursday. And then from there, Fridays is all about tips and tests and film and making sure guys are prepared. Physically, it's just as much as mentally, though, you know. And so I think once you get to that point, all those decisions are made. The game plan's done, you know, and I think that's where it's really, really important. That's what, you know, we've been really focusing on, that once you get to the game, you know, you kind of sink to the level of training. And I've always believed that. You know, I don't think there's any magical plays you just pull out. It's all about how well can you execute them, how well do the guys know them, and how do they fit, put your best players in a chance to be successful.
So does that mean when you get to Saturday, you're more relaxed than you are through the week? Because if you have less control.
I get more, you know, I'm a little bit more relaxed on a Friday because you put so much work into it. As it gets to the game, you know, obviously you're in the moment, you know, so adrenaline's pumping and you're kind of rolling pretty good once you get in there, just the competitor in you. But I feel the stress earlier in the week because I know that the decisions that have to be made, the plays, the installation, the execution, what we practice, the looks that we give, all those things are so critical and how well they play on Saturday.